closing highways. And
we're asking everyone to do their part.
The final report on Hurricane Helene is in. What it says about the catastrophic storm.
It was truly a historic storm, not just for our region, but really for the nation.
An algae bloom is killing sea lions in the Pacific.
Most of the patients brought into the hospital are pregnant females.
A rock slide shuts down a major road leading to Yosemite National Park.
Several large boulders about the size of small vehicles.
And why there will soon be fewer weather balloons launched over the United States.
From our nation's capital, this is the National Weather Desk.
Well, a very good morning to you and welcome to the National Weather Desk. JLA Senior Meteorologist Brian Vandegraff. Well, wildfires are burning in multiple states this morning thanks to dry, windy conditions. We'll start in South Florida where flames have burned more than 24,000 acres over the past 8 days. They are burning in an undeveloped area in the South Everglades, not near any homes or businesses, but it's led firefighters to close an 18-mile stretch of US 1 several times. It's the only highway into the Florida Keys. Drifting smoke continues to be a concern.
If you smell smoke, it's best to stay indoors. Keep your windows and your doors closed. Keep your AC in recirculating. And this is especially important for those with respiratory conditions.
The smoke is so thick it's visible from a satellite. Officials say this weekend's NASCAR race in Homestead and the Miami Open tennis tournament will proceed as scheduled. Well, all of the nearly 100 wildfires burning in Arkansas earlier this week are now contained, but they caused considerable damage, burning homes and businesses across the state. The good news is that there were no reports of injuries or deaths from the fire outbreak. However, most of the state is once again under a red flag warning for dangerous wildfire conditions through today. Those warnings stretch into large portions of Texas, Oklahoma, and Missouri. 3 wildfires are still burning in western North Carolina, and all of them are 0% contained. Some people living near the so-called Deep Woods fire are now being evacuated because it's getting larger. As last report, it's burned over 330 acres, and so far we've heard several buildings have been destroyed. At least one of the fires was started by a downed power line. And it's not just the fires that are burning right now. Western North Carolina officials say there are so many downed trees from Hurricane Helene, the region is ripe for even more destructive fires. Justin Berger reports.
This is what the damage looks like in the hills of Mitchell County. Countless trees down. Dream conditions for wildfire to spread.
There is a concern across the board about what's going on out here, how best they can support the folks that are in the field.
2 months ago, County Manager Alan Cook sent this letter to newly inaugurated President Donald Trump, making the potential, in his words, catastrophic risk known. He says the county suffered more than $41 million in timber loss and, quote, in the event of a dry summer or fall, we could have a wildfire much worse than the January 2025 fires in California.
In my career, 20-year career, this is the most fuel I've seen on the ground. A lot of heavy fuels that we've seen on the ground currently.
This map from the U.S. Forest Service shows the wildfire risk assessment in western North Carolina.
And in Rhode Island, the warming weather means fire risk is a top concern for those who oversee the state woodlands. And they're working to prevent another bad wildfire season. Mike Cirolo tells us more.
Hoping for the best, but preparing for the worst.
Spring is our fire season.
Pat McMeekin is Rhode Island's wildland fire supervisor, one of 5 forestry employees overseeing all of these hoses, thousands of feet loaned out to local agencies to fight wildland fires, washed, tested, and packed into quick deploy bags, ready to go at a moment's notice. McMeekin says the height of spring fire season usually happens sometime around April here in the Northeast, but this year it warmed up earlier and the vegetation hasn't greened just yet, keeping firefighters busy in March.
Usually in March we'd see somewhere around 11 acres burned, so this year we're closer to 30 acres.
It comes on the heels of an historic fall fire season, 75 wildfires scorching dozens of acres, and nearly 2 years ago in April 2023, wildfires in Exeter and West Greenwich each burned more than 200 acres. Would you say you're more prepared now to deal with something like that if it were to come up?
Yeah, that's the goal, is to continue to up our preparedness.
McMeekin says since then they've trained 46 new wildland firefighters, with another training planned this June.
Well, next week marks 6 months since Hurricane Helene made landfall and changed many areas across the southeast forever. The National Hurricane Center released its final report on Helene earlier this week. It's more than 100 pages long and details everything from rainfall to landslides and fatalities as well. The data is not only informative but crucial beyond the areas Helene damaged, destroyed. Ed Dioro explains.
There's going to be dozens and dozens of scientific papers written on this storm in future years.
The National Weather Service and NOAA release a report for any hurricane and tropical storm. Helene's document caught the eyes of thousands of scientists.
Reading this report, reading other reports about it, it was truly a historic storm, not just for our region, but really for the nation or even globally. I was on email lists with scientists all around the world. They're talking about what a big event Helene was.
Well, how big was it? Well, the 3-day rainfall totals in late September had less than a 1 in 1,000 chance of occurring in any given year. Those chances have implications.
A lot of the science depends on that really historic, really high quality data.
In and outside of the world of science.
Insurance policies that are triggered based on exactly which counties experienced hurricane force winds or tropical storm force winds.
With the majority of 2,000 landslides coming in western North Carolina as a result of the storm, it caused damage of some sort to over 8,000 structures. Bringing those buildings back and its regulations will depend on the report.
Having these higher projections, understanding what these events are going to look like in the future, will make things like that are going to have to last for decades.
Well, the National Weather Service confirms 8 tornadoes struck Indiana and Illinois Wednesday night. 3 of those twisters touched down in Gary, Indiana. They tore roofs off buildings, including the school gymnasium. Power lines and poles were down across the city, knocking out power to more than 13,000 customers. And despite the damage, there were no deaths. Good news there. One woman had to be rescued after her home's roof collapsed, trapping her inside. Well, the National Weather Service is cutting back on the number of weather balloons it sends into the atmosphere. They say it's due to a lack of staffing since the government ordered firings and layoffs. Meteorologists say this could impact the accuracy of their forecasts, especially during severe weather. National weather offices in at least 5 states are affected, with all launches canceled in Omaha, Nebraska, and Rapid City, South Dakota. Sea lions along California's Pacific coast are in big trouble. An algae bloom has made them sick and turning many pups into orphans. Some are exhibiting Parkinson's-like symptoms. Michelle Guile has the story.
Rescuers from the Pacific Marine Mammal Center in Laguna Beach are headed to a call of a sick sea lion. In the last 2 weeks, the facility has been inundated with animals poisoned by the toxin domoic acid that's produced by certain types of algae. Most of the patients brought into the hospital are pregnant females.
One of the unfortunate things about this toxin is that it's a water-loving toxin, so the body filters it into things like amniotic fluid. And that amniotic fluid can cause reintoxication of the moms, and then we won't be able to save the moms if they maintain their pregnancies.
Dr. Deming says the veterinary staff has had to have the pregnant sea lions deliver early, and the babies are not viable. Over the last few weeks, 20 other sick sea lions have had to be euthanized. If the numbers continue to climb, this could rank as Orange County's worst domoic acid bloom. This is the 4th year in a row where vets have seen the devastating impact of a domoic acid bloom along our coast. The females here in this hospital likely have a pup somewhere near the Channel Islands trying to survive alone. Experts worry about a decline in the sea lion population if things continue.
Well, the U.S. Drought Monitor released its latest map on Thursday, and it shows growing drought conditions in the Southwest and Texas, as well as dry conditions in the northern plains and along the East Coast, even across South Florida. Now compare that to 1 year ago. The East Coast had no drought, while the Southwest and Texas were in much better shape. Well, this is what Hawaii's Kilauea volcano looked like yesterday morning as it once again spewed lava. Some of the fountains of lava reached 700 feet into the air. It was the 14th episode since the eruption began in December. And this morning, after 28 hours of lava flowing, it has finally stopped. Coming up on the National Weather Desk, a rock slide has closed the highway leading to Yosemite National Park. We'll find out why officials say they're going to delay cleanup efforts.
I'm meteorologist Charlie Lopresti with Look at the Northeast. We have changeable weather on the way in the Northeast in the coming days. This morning's rain and mountain snow, that will be moving out this afternoon. You'll likely notice the wind picking up in the Northeast this afternoon. That northwest wind will gust over 30 miles per hour and temperatures will be running in the 40s. Saturday's the warmest day of the stretch. Look for air temps to warm well into the 50s. There's a cold front though. That cold front may bring a brief shower. More importantly, colder air will invade for Sunday.
I'm Chief Meteorologist Gerard Jabali. Here's a look at the Mid-Atlantic region. Behind this front, we are dry for your Friday, so sunshine all the way through, but it will be windy and it will be cooler today, but at least we'll have bright skies all day long. Another system on the way through Saturday. It looks to bring just some clouds, maybe a stray sprinkle, but temperatures will take a dip on Sunday, so we're going to be only in the 50s on Friday, but Saturday we'll get a chance to get some 60s closer to the coast. It'll be a little cooler in the mountains, only in the 40s.
Good Friday morning, meteorologist Michael Ehrenberg checking at your southeast regional forecast. Beautiful high pressure up and down the coast will give us sunny skies up through the Carolinas, through Florida, and out west through Texas and Louisiana. Maybe a few clouds skirting through the mountains of Tennessee and western North Carolina and far north Georgia. Behind the cold front, temperature is pretty cool here, 60s for most of the area from Jacksonville, Pensacola north, and looks for upper 60s and low 70s for the Sunshine State in central and south Florida.
The National Weather Desk.
In Maine, emerald ash borers have become a major issue for local ash trees. They are non-native wood-boring beetle. Meteorologist Ryan Munn spoke to officials about the problem and what they are doing to try and eradicate the bugs from the state.
Emerald ash borers have become a major issue to many ash trees in parts of Maine. Forest entomologist Michael Paricio described how the non-native wood-boring beetles do their damage.
As populations of larvae accumulate, they feed on more and more of this phloem tissue, which causes patches of that phloem to die. And when you get these populations high enough, it's effectively girdling the tree, so cutting off the tree from the flow of, nutrients and, eventually starving it.
Well, these borers get in.
Dana Saucier of Lisbon has trees that are infected in his front yard that now need to be removed.
This has been part of our property, and as you can tell where the sun is, during the summer this gives our house shade. We won't have any more shade. The house is going to be in full sun right from early morning because of what you see here. There will be no leaves to block that sun.
Emerald ash borers have completely taken over this tree. Each one of these veins represents a different bug.
School buses come in and out here all day long, and people dropping children off. I'm concerned about that more than anything else. If something was to happen, a limb fall on top of a bus, somebody could get hurt.
The Maine Forest Service has created a quarantine zone with strict regulations to help stop the spread of these beetles.
You're not allowed to transport any hardwood firewood outside of that zone, and there's also a number of regulated ash products that cannot leave that zone unless it happens to be moved under a special agreement with the Maine Forest Service.
Well, it's going to take time before cleanup begins on a California highway leading into Yosemite National Park. A rock slide blocked the road earlier this week. Rich Rodriguez says officials want a first-hand look at the slide from the top of the mountain to better understand exactly what happened.
This is what came sliding down the mountain Monday night onto Highway 140, the Central Yosemite Highway.
We had several large boulders about the size of small vehicles come down off of the rock face there.
Rock and mud covers the eastbound and westbound lanes. A stretch of Highway 140 is shut down indefinitely. Tuesday, Caltrans sent up a drone to get a better view of the slide path.
We used our drone operators to see where there might be other areas of vulnerability or the best approach to start clearing the debris and addressing any further slide activity.
Hooker says the geotech staff wants to see the damage up close on top of the mountain.
There were some areas that we want to take a closer look at to make sure they're stable. And so in order to do that, our geotech crews need to get onto the mountain.
Once the team determines the slide area is stable, removal of the rock debris will begin. Most of it will be hauled out by truck.
We will be using some of the debris to crush up and use for any needed road repairs that are in the area.
Highway 140 is one of 3 entrances into Yosemite National Park. Highway 41 is considered the southern entrance, while Highway 120 brings in tourists from the Bay Area. Caltrans has no estimate how long Highway 140 will be closed between Briceburg and Incline.
Well, spring is here and allergies are a normal part of the season. So how does the weather play a role? Meteorologist Violet Skybor explains.
How does the weather affect this? How does it affect the pollen counts and also your allergies? Well, rain can actually bring relief to your allergies, trapping the pollen molecules in the air, bringing them to the ground, and cleaning the air. Also, and this may be confusing, but dry weather can help relieve allergies, especially in long doses. When we have a long period of dry weather, plants don't get the water that they need to produce pollen, so there's actually less in the air that you're breathing in. The wind, which we are seeing outside quite gusty right now, can worsen pollen counts because any leftover pollen on the ground and new pollen being produced all just gets mixed up with a higher concentration in the air that you're breathing in. Plus, warm weather as well worsens your allergies because warmer weather is, the more pollen we'll see produced from all these plants. So if you do have allergies, some ways to combat it naturally: stay exercising and healthy, nasal irrigation with a saline spray to help clean it out, taking vitamin C, and also honey. Tea can help coat your throat and help relieve some of those symptoms.
Well, meteorologist Andrew Buckmichael from our station in Columbus, Ohio, answers viewers' questions on social media. It's a segment he calls the Weather Bucket. Let's take a look at what questions he's answering today.
What's up, everyone? Andrew Buckmichael back with another round of your Weather Bucket questions. Go to my Facebook page, look for this post, and you can leave your questions to be added to the Weather Bucket. First question coming in from Elizabeth. Good morning. Why can't it be 75, sunny with a slight breeze all day, every day? That sounds more like San Diego weather. Here in Ohio, we're constantly the battleground between the cold air to the north, warm, humid air to the south. Question coming in from Spencer. What determines our percentage chance of rain? Example, 30% chance of rain today. Great question. First thing we need to do is look at the area coverage that we're expected to see this rain. Here you can see an example, 20, 40, 60, 80% chance of rain. Then we have to factor that into the equation, the probability of precipitation. We call it a POP. And that is basically an equation that you take the confidence in the forecast. Do we really think this rain is going to happen, or is it just a slim chance, times the area coverage? That's how we get the pop. So a 30% chance to be 100% confidence, but only a small area is going to see it, or vice versa. It's really iffy if this rain is going to pop up and happen, but if it does, it really could be anywhere across the area. So we have to factor those things into the equation. That's how we get our chance of rain. Nicholas asking, is it too early or possible to tell if we're going to have another dry summer? We need to keep an eye on the jet stream. Right now, it looks like spring is trending wet for us. We'll keep an eye on summer as we get a little bit closer. Thanks to all the weather questions. We're going to do more of them coming up here in a little bit.
All right. Thank you so much, Andrew. Well, spring is here, and that means time to get ready for gardening. And one of the many tools both farmers and backyard gardeners turn to is the old Farmer's Almanac. This week on our podcast, Off the Radar, Emily Gracie sat down with the editor-in-chief to learn about the history of North America's oldest continuous publication.
Since 1792, this little book has been predicting weather, planting times, and astronomical events.
They actually predicted the snow.
It's North America's oldest continuously published periodical.
Snow showers in the north, isolated showers in the south, and very cold. It was very cold.
Today we are going off the radar to explore the surprising science behind the Old Farmer's Almanac.
Sometimes I'm amazed at how accurate it can be.
You know, we say we're around 80% accurate, and that really depends on where you are.
What's behind their mysterious formula? And how does a 233-year-old publication continue to thrive in the digital age and changing climate that we live in today?
How could they predict that? There's no way.
You can find Off the Radar anywhere you listen to your favorite podcast. And before we take a short break, let's take flight over the high desert of California to enjoy a sunrise.
Good Friday morning, everyone. It's going to be a bit of a quiet weekend for us here across a lot of the Midwest. We'll get into a couple of spotty light rain showers. The winds are going to stay pretty brisk, though, for today heading into the weekend. A couple showers out in the Ohio Valley tomorrow for your Saturday, and cold. Look at that. High temperatures only in the 30s around the Great Lakes. Then things ramp up more Sunday with snow to the north, rain to the south.
Friday's going to be a beautiful Friday. We are going to call for gorgeous temperatures and also a beautiful weekend coming up. Plenty of sunshine in your forecast. Going to be a little chilly in the morning, though. Definitely going to need some jackets if you're heading off to school and work. But then you're going to want to toss them in the back of the car. We're getting up to almost 80 degrees here in San Antonio. It's going to feel really nice. And these beautiful mild temperatures, they're going to stay with us as we continue on into the weekend.
Well, hi there and happy Friday to you, everybody. I'm meteorologist Shannon O'Donnell. Now that spring is here, we're starting to warm up even more in the desert Southwest. We'll see highs in the 70s and the 80s in the Valley of the Sun, back in the Palm Desert. A perfect 71 today in San Diego. PNW, though, winter is hanging on for dear life. In fact, the next weather maker, a big disturbance keeping things wet and gusty and mountain snowy in the Cascades as we head into our Friday evening. And that's the scene from here.
Weather Window, presented by the National Weather Desk.
Spring day one was a windy one at Mobile Bay. The wind was stiff enough Thursday to toss waves, keep flags at attention, ruffle feathers by giving these purple martins a challenge getting into this birdhouse. The wind ruffled some fur, too. Meanwhile, a rainbow decorated the morning sky in Asheville, North Carolina.
For more content like this, follow the National Weather Desk on Instagram.
Well, we've been talking a lot about wildfires this morning, and with the wildfire season underway, we want to give you a couple of quick reminders on how to keep you and your home protected. To do that, we turn to meteorologist Emily Santom.
We are entering a season where a lot of people are hanging outside right now, maybe bonfire, fire pit season. Make sure that you are conducting burns at least 30 feet away from your house. Another idea too, make sure you consult with your local fire department when it comes to current burn protocols within your area, especially over the next couple of weeks and really months as we head towards the summer.
We'd love to share your weather content on the air. You can find us on all of your favorite social media platforms, including Facebook, YouTube, Instagram, and TikTok. Just search the National Weather Desk. We'll be right back. Well, thank you so much for joining us today. I'm WJLA Senior Meteorologist Brian Vandergraff. Make it a great day. Have a wonderful weekend. And we hope to see you back here on Monday.